Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to be looking at the weekly metagame breakdown for the historic best of one format. So we've covered historic best of three the last couple of weeks. We'll cover a best of one. I want to kind of preface it's early in the month, so it's only about 7 days. We are going to be looking platinum to mythic. The drop off is about 41,000 games to 7,000 games when you kind of go from platinum to diamond as your cap. So there's a little bit of noise. So I did go through. There's some lists that are just really unrefined, probably. Players are winning, but they're probably lower MMR, so they're not the best example. A lot of one-ofs, like you look at a list, it's like 40 creatures and no creature is like played more than 2 copies, little things like that. So I kind of curated some of the content, eliminating some of the outlier decks in terms of like effectiveness. So we get the data from Untapped.gg, what you see on the screen, companion tool that tracks your win rates, puts it with other users, gives a whole bunch of cool stats. Link for Untap is in the video description. If you want to get started, I'll paste all these deck lists as well, so you can copy and paste. So like I said, we're looking platinum and mythic rank. We're going to start off with the popularity of the day, and then we'll look at the deck lists themselves. Boros Auras is the most played deck right now at about 9%, which is pretty encouraging. Like, we don't see it like huge amounts like the Izzet Energy or the Boros Energy decks once were. Rakdos Aggro, which is mono red Leyline at 6.5. We have the Woodlands deck at about 5.5. Mono green elves at 5. Mono green elves is like a state. These two are like the platinum rank staples. We got an elves and we got life gain. These really don't see much play beyond platinum rank. There would be maybe like the odd outlier, but these typically aren't going to be heavily played in diamond up. Mono green devotion would be. Mono red aggro again could just be like leyline variants without the fling package, and then Mardu Sacrifice 3%. Just for like comparison sakes, if we go to diamond right now, Boros Auras does jump up quite a bit, but a tad under 20%, along with Rakdos Aggro at 8%. So kind of jumping in, like I said, we have 41,000 games played. Highest win rate deck is Mardu Sacrifice, 76%. So a couple innovations that we've seen from past weeks. We're seeing Thraben Charm in the main. Love this card. Really flexible. I think these types of effects in best of one are really good because it gives you some like variability with your cards. Instead of playing a very niche card like say Rest in Peace because you want to have graveyard hate or surgical extraction, well, this can deal with graveyards. It can just deal with enchantments if needed, if it's like a temporary lockdown or some random thing like that. And then it can also just be a removal spell. So you have one card that can cover you against 3 different cases. Core of the deck is using the energy package with a bunch of sacrifice effects, basically bombardments in here with the Johnnies. You have Amp Raptor that can cascade. It's a Lura shell, so everything gets played. Marionette is a way to just kind of drain and gain. We've sometimes seen Cthulhian Nightmare in these lists. This version's playing Trap Finder and Unlucky Witness, and then has the Village Rite. So a lot of kind of virtual card advantage in the deck itself. Lurrus Companion, as mentioned. Moving on. So we have Rakdos Aggro, mono red aggro really. This version is even just playing like really budgety. You can upgrade the lands to play like 2 Den of the Bugbear. You can play Ramanap Ruins. You can play Barbarian Rings. You can play a Sokuzan. There's a lot of things to just make the mana base better. But if you're a pro gamer, you'll have Leyline in your opening hand, put it into play. And then within Historic, you have Scamp, Fireblade Charger, as well as Heartfire Hero. All ways that can ping your opponent when they die. So when you fling it with either Callous Cell Swords Burned Together or Thud, it basically deals double the damage. Then you're using things like Infuriate, Monstrous Rage, Titan Strength, and Turn Inside Out as a whole bunch of pump effects. If you're getting into the format, this is a relatively budget-friendly deck. Depending if you had these in standard when the ban happened, you might already own these. Slick Shots are the rares, and then everything else is common or uncommon. So a great kind of budget deck to get started in the format. Boros Auras. So this deck here is probably one of the more popular best 3 decks. Very strong in terms of what it's doing. So you're leveraging the package of like Lycopause, Core Spirit Dancer, and a bunch of enchantments. The Amp Raptor can cascade you down. Things like Demonic Ruckus can then tutor with Blight Paws. You basically on demand can tutor Sheltered by Ghosts, which is one of the best new cards for this shell. It's removal, it's lifelink in these aggro mirrors, it's protection. Speaking of protection, you have Shard Mage Rescue, and then you have like a bunch of incidental stuff. So Vigilance, Haste, Flying, so evasion, get some haste in there. The Ruckus is also Trample, protection from Giver of Runes, attacks with Esper Sentinel, Ethereal Armor to make something really big. Notably, Giver of Runes, if you give yourself protection from white or red, your auras will fall off your creatures, so be mindful of that as you play out your games. So if you're in the mirror and your opponent tries to shelter you by Ghost and you have a bunch of white auras, it will fall off. One thing you may want to do at times with Sheltered by Ghost is target the auras potentially, because they also can't protect it with Shard Mage Rescue. Or just prioritize getting rid of Giver of Runes. We have 5-color Omni Woodland. So this one's at 71%. So this is a combo deck. So it's built around the land Shifting Woodlands. So it cares about Delirium, 4 more card types in your graveyard. The Woodlands can become a copy of target permanent in your graveyard. So ideally, you have it become a copy of Omniscience, cast a whole bunch of stuff for free. Or alternatively, you can have it become a copy of God Pharaoh's Gift. And then if you have like Ulamogs or Eldrazi's or Atraxas in the graveyard, it comes in as a token. Now notably with this Ulamog, it sees a copy of itself in exile, so it comes in with 10 counters, so you can Annihilator them for a huge amount as you tack in. The core of the deck is getting you to that Delirium state. So looting kind of draws discards. Same with Pyre, same with Malavant that mills you over, helps you find the land. Satyr Wayfinder mills you over. Traverse can help you find the land. Haywire Might deals with Graveyard Hate. It's two types for the Delirium package kind of mixed into there. Vampire's Vengeance, good against these kind of go wide small decks. That also creates a blood token that lets you draw a discard within the deck. It's called 5-color. It's really a Gruul deck that has these kind of splashes for your things that you're cheating into play. Boros Energy, 71%. How the mighty have fallen, sort of. But nerfed. Still seeing some play. This is the life gain packaged version, so seeing a lot more Soul Warden, Luminarch Veteran, Guide of Souls all in here. Voice of the Blessed is kind of the payoff. Gets really big. You have a Johnny's Goblin Bombardment ping package in here. You have Arabella, another way to just attack in, gain and drain as it pings your opponent to death. But a Johnny plus Bombardment and like 52 other cards generally go in games. This card is just cracked in terms of its power level. It's all I've been doing in Cube. Dimir Frog, 71%. So not quite the timeless powerhouse where you have Brainstorm and Mana Drain and stuff, but this is a Reanimator kind of style deck. So how it works is Eater of Bones. You have to enter full control mode when you do this at combat. Exiles the Ulamog, and then you can adapt it. It comes in with haste for the turn, and then because it sees itself in exile, you get the counters, and then you can annihilate your opponent. This deck's about just churning through, so you have an Earth package to get back Oculus, Balemore mills you, Tainted Indulgence draws discard, Stitcher fills your graveyard, bunch of cheap removal effects, and then some hand hate mixed into there. And then you just have Psychic Frog that can be a discard outlet for your big stuff. Draws you cards, it's a must-answer threat, otherwise it just takes over the game as you go through. 4-color Samwise. So we have a combo here, very like odd mana look, but Birthing Ritual basically sacks and then helps you find other creatures, kind of a la Birthing Pod. You have a couple combos here. So it's built predominantly around 2 cards and then a sack outlet. So Samwise and Cauldron Familiar with a sack outlet lets you basically keep sacking the cat and bringing it back into play because it keeps generating a food off Samwise. You can sack and ping with either the Goblin Bombardment or sack and get it back with Bartholomew. You have Trap Finders, Unlucky Witness to help you find a whole bunch of stuff, Juggernaut Peddler to eat away at their hand, Marionette Apprentice similar to the Mardu version, gets through some pings there. Blur's Companion. This is like the opposite of budget because of all the rare lands required for your mana base. Then go to Izzet Wizard's Leyline. So 4 Leylines in here, 60% win rate on this Wizards list. And you're using more pump effects than you traditionally would. We also see Swift Spear, which is not common in the list, and Ancestral Anger. So a few less Wizards matters and more just kind of pump effects that you want to get doubled up on those effects because you're not going to target your own wizard with Wizard's Lightning. Arcanist can also flash back stuff, so more of an aggressive version as opposed to like the Wizards version, which can kind of, it's more tempo oriented. You could be more controlling, you can be more aggressive, and kind of play that range of effects. Then go to eggs, no color. So this is a combo deck. This one's at 60% as well. So how it works is you use a lot of these effects like Semblance Anvil, which makes cards of a certain type cost 2 less. You have Scalp, and then Cloud Key does the same thing. So you basically make all your various artifacts cheaper, and then use something like Mystic Forge that can let you play cards off the top of your library. You have a bunch of these cheap effects like Lambus, which can draw cards, all this chromatic style stuff, and then you just win through building up a big storm count with Aether Flux Reservoir. Scrap Trawler can also create like loops of just getting stuff back from your graveyard and further building your storm count. You'll sometimes see the One Ring in these decks, just a way to kind of churn through further. This one's also got Umari as a companion, which is another way to reduce the, since all your cards are artifacts in this. So because it's an Umari companion, they all have to be artifacts. But like I said, you can play the One Ring in here if you just want a way to kind of keep going off. Sometimes you'll see Paradox Engine to just get you to be able to tap and tap the Mystic Forge. You'll sometimes see Karn in these lists, but this one's opting to go with the Umari companion. Ninjas, 59%. So Kaido is a big bonus to this deck. Planeswalker that ninjutsus, that is an emblem. Tap down blockers as well as draw you cards. So what you're trying to do is have cheap evasive creatures that can then be kind of ninja'd in with ninjutsu abilities. You have a bunch of buffed ninjas from Kamigawa in here. There's a loop you can do with Thousand Face Ninjas and Silver Fur that keeps making copies because this reduces the ninjutsu cost. There's a video, just look at my playlist for Historic, type ninjas. The first game shows the loop. It's much easier to see it than explain it in words. You have the Retrofitter Foundry Ornithopter package, since Outcast is also a Thopter in addition to being a ninja, since that. And then you have Mockingbird, which can copy creatures to get you some value that way. Surgical for Graveyard Hate, and a bunch of disruptive elements with Spell Snare and Spell Pierce, as well as a Dismember. You could just play like another Fatal Push if you don't want to play Dismember, since it's a mythic if you don't want to pay a mythic price for a removal spell. 5-color Reanimator, so the Persist Combo. So this deck can win on turn 2. Ideally what you would do, self-loot mill, you discard Scholar the Lost Troves and Emergent Ultimatum, or like Breach the Multiverse, then you persist back the Scholar, and then cast the spell for free. You get Omniscience, and then just start kind of chaining through your deck. You can take an extra turn to attack. So you basically just kind of keep going, cast stuff for free, and then take an extra turn, or you can just draw through your whole deck and then play out Jace Wielder of Mysteries to win that way there. You could Conspiracy Unraveler with enough cards in graveyard to keep recasting Breach, and then win through Jace. Mystic's Mastery is another way to kind of get the chain going in those regards. So very explosive, but it's a deck that, for the most part, just ignores what your opponent's doing, and then just you're trying to combo in that respect. And then this one is from someone in the community, Day Trader. They went 54 and 39, so 58% win rate. But it was a cool list. It's like an Izzet Land Destruction Eldrazi list. So full Chalice of the Void here to lock out 1 and 2 mana spells. Kozilek's Command can be a removal option. Ramp, card draw, all mixed in. Ugin's Binding can be a bounce effect that later can return everything, so kind of Cyclonic Riftish. Full Stone Rain in here to blow up lands. Sweltering Sun is a sweeper. You got the Karn package in here. Storm's Wrath is another sweeper, which is an interesting inclusion. Forsaken Monument doubles up your colorless mana. You have the Ugin's Labyrinth, which also can be double mana. Some Eldrazi's. You got some Ugins, Null Drifters, and Devourer of Destiny in here. The Karn package can get like Graveyard Hate, activated abilities, blow up lands hate. Forsaken Monument is another way to double mana. Territory Forge, another way to blow up lands. So this person does not like lands. Godfarer's Statute attacks, Cityscape Leveler to blow up stuff, and Darksteel Citadel is a tutorable land in the deck. So that's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing in Historic, what you've been liking, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.